On August 9th, 2014, was the day of Michael Brown's death. Michael and a friend, Dorian Johnson, were walking down the street when a Ferguson police officer confronted them. The friend told CNN that he and Michael were walking in the middle of the street when a white male police officer pulled up to them and told them to get the F on the sidewalk. They replied to the officer that they were almost to where they needed to be and would be off the street shortly. The officer drove towards them but stopped and backed up, almost hitting both of them. The officer was so close to them that when he tried opening his door aggressively, the door hit Michael and his friend. Still in his car, the officer grabbed Michael by his neck. Michael tried to pull away, but the officer kept pulling him toward him. The officer then took out his gun and said something like, "I'm going to shoot you," or "I will shoot you," and almost instantly fired, hitting Michael. The two took off running, and his friend hid behind the first car he saw. The officer got out of his car and was going after Michael and fired a second shot. Michael turned around with his hands up, saying that he was unarmed and for the police officer to stop shooting. But the officer was firing several more shots at him, and he fell to the ground, dead. This situation was horrible because just because he was black, he was treated unfairly. It's said that black people are more likely to get killed by police than white people are. Also, black people are treated more unfairly with police. This isn't right. Just because they're black doesn't mean they should be treated like criminals. This way of thinking should be changed. For my first historical event, I did the death of Emmett Till. 3 days after arriving in Money, Mississippi on August 24th, 1955, Emmett Till and a group of teenagers entered Bryant's Grocery and Meat Market to buy refreshments. Emmett purchased something from the store, and some of the kids later reported that he either whistled at, flirted with, or touched the hand of the store owner's wife, Caroline Bryant. 4 days later, Caroline's husband and his half-brother kidnapped Emmett. They then beat him brutally, dragged him into the bank of the Tallahatchie River, shot him in the head, tied him with barbed wire to a large metal fan, and shoved his mutilated body into the water. 3 days later, his corpse was pulled out of the river. Emmett's face was mutilated beyond recognition, and they only managed to positively identify him by the ring on his finger engraved with his father's initials, LT. His mother insisted on a public funeral service with an open casket to show the world the brutality of the killing, which is exactly what Jet magazine wanted to do when they wrote their article on Emmett Till in 1955. They told a synopsis of Emmett Till's death and included detailed photos of Emmett's mutilated body. Their intentions of this was to show the world what a horrible thing those men did to this poor boy, and that it's not okay. It's not okay because all the boy did was say something to a white woman, and her husband freaked out on him because he was black and thought he should know his place. My second historical event is on Rosa Parks. On December 1st, 1955, the 42-year-old Rosa Parks was commuting home from a long day of work at the Montgomery Fair department store by bus. Segregation was written into the law that the front of the Montgomery bus was reserved for white civilians and the seats behind them for black people. However, it was only by custom that bus drivers had the authority to ask a black person to give up their seat for a white rider. Nonetheless, at one point on the route, a white man had no seat because all the seats in the designated white section were taken. So the driver told the riders in the 4 seats of the first row of the colored section to stand, in effect adding another row to the white section. The 3 others obeyed, but Rosa Parks did not. Parks said she didn't give up her seat because she was tired of giving into the inequality and was tired of the unfairness. 2 police officers approached the stopped bus, assessed the situation, and placed Parks into custody. The way she was treated was not right, but thankfully, from Rosa Parks' great act of bravery, it led to the Montgomery bus boycott and the civil rights movement. This situation helped change the rights for black people. Now Is Your Time is written by Joanne Robinson. It is the aftermath of hearing Rosa Parks' situation and her actions taken to make a change. Her and the Women's Political Council complained to bus officials and in 1955 developed plans for a citywide bus boycott. When Joanne heard about Rosa Parks' arrest, she thought that was her opportunity to take action. On December 5th, 1955, was the day of their bus boycott. The people were cooperating and stayed off the bus that first day. This shows how they thought Rosa Parks' arrest was unfair and that something should be done about Black people's civil rights. These two historical events show how poorly Black people were treated in the past. Thankfully, thanks to the civil rights movement, Black people are treated much differently than they were in the past. But from seeing this current event that I showed up from Michael Brown, there still are some situations where Black people are treated unfairly. This should definitely be changed.